Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we doing? Welcome to another episode of Fenway Faithful. And we got some news here today. We actually just got a little something from Chris Cotillo. I wasn't even going to be talking about, anything free agency tonight. I was going to be focused on all this weird, Nolan, Arenado, Triston, Casas stuff out there. We'll touch on that. But we're going to touch on this real quick before we do dive into things. Everybody, if you can, hit that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new. We're getting very close to 3,000 subscribers. We're right around 400 away. If you can help us out with that, I will love you forever. But let's dive into this one. Chris Cotillo. Unlike last year, when they told high-dollar free agents they needed to move money to engage, the Red Sox, per sources, are telling some free agents they are prioritizing some bigger money pursuits before circling back to the middle and bottom of the market. You can bet your buns that gets me pretty excited. He goes on to say here, there is a believe it when you see it element to this, and this report of mine above really doesn't matter unless they go and follow through. Very true. But this is the current messaging in talks. Listen, you can say what you will about this. You could say, oh, the Red Sox don't spend money. They're not a serious franchise anymore. They're the cheap Sox, right? I see it all the time. It's like, can we at least get some new material, for the people that have to post that stuff? Can we at least get some different material? It's getting boring, okay? Come up with some new stuff. But anyway, when it comes to the Red Sox spending the money, yes, I agree. You gotta prove it, right? There's talk is cheap. Go out there and get the job done, right? Yes, you've made some good moves this offseason. Garrett Crochet, you brought in Walker Buehler, Aroldis Chapman, decent move for the bullpen, pretty good move for the rotation as well. Obviously, Garrett Crochet was a trade, but when it comes to free agency, the Red Sox, they gotta, put up or shut up at the end of the day, right? And listen, I don't think it's anything crazy as a Red Sox fan to say, at least just get a guy. At least just kind of plant your flag out there. You know what I mean? I don't think a lot of us are expecting to go LA Dodger mode. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like most people out there, that are, big Red Sox fans, they're not asking, to sign Shohei Ohtani and Yoshinobu Yamamoto in the same offseason. I think you just want to go get a guy that costs you a little something. Now, if we're looking at some guys here that are on the free agent market, right? Obviously, Alex Bregman, that's the name we've all been paying attention to. Yeah, that's a guy that would really check off that box. Now, could the Red Sox be, we've been reading, Ken Rosenthal came out today with an article, basically saying the Red Sox, they need to actually go do something, right? Could the Red Sox actually, be, he was saying, a bit of a game of chicken, right? We did see this with JD Martinez over, how many years ago? 6 years ago now? 7 years ago? Where JD Martinez, he's looking for $200 million. The Red Sox said, nope, I don't believe you. Just like Ron Burgundy said, I don't believe you, right? He ended up not getting that $200 million deal, and he took the $110 million from the Red Sox. The Red Sox read him like the back of their hand, right? Now, it's a little different with Alex Bregman, right? First off, we don't even know if there's an offer. We don't even know. I mean, here's the thing. Does there obviously, I guarantee someone's going to think this is a ridiculous statement. Just hear me out. I don't think there necessarily has to be an offer on the table. I think if you're having dialogue and you're talking numbers, what are you looking for? Then again, the Red Sox, could they be trying to play a bit of a game here where, who knows? Maybe they do have an offer. I don't know. I don't know what that answer is. But maybe the Red Sox are trying to play a bit of a game where, they feel like they don't need to make an offer, but they're just reading his market, right? We did see the Tigers. It looked like at one point there was momentum gaining. And then all of a sudden it kind of just went flat, right? We got a report the Tigers, they're kind of in a disagreement over his value long term. And I guess according to another report out there, I can't remember who was saying it, but I think one of the Detroit reporters out there was saying that they're not willing to go past 5 years. I think he said that was more speculative, but if you're looking at it from the Tigers' point of view, obviously with Scott Harris running the show there, they are really acting like they're on an extremely tight budget. So you could maybe see the truth in that, where they're not willing to go past 5 years. And, I think he would be great for the Tigers. But in the end, you got to think about it from Alex Bregman's point of view. That's a ballpark that's really not going to suit him very well. Sure, could he go there? He could put on the jersey and, be a Detroit Tiger for the rest of his career, possibly. Sure, yes, AJ Hinch, whatever. But if you're looking at it from the point of view where, the ballpark, it's not going to be a great fit for him. I think in the end, Bregman will still find a way to be successful. But if he wants to maximize his success, Fenway Park is the place, and that's not being biased. Even if I was a Portland Pickles fan or a Baltimore Orioles fan or whatever it may be, you put Bregman and his swing and his results he's had at Fenway Park over his career, not counting the postseason, then yes, Alex Bregman is an absolutely perfect fit for Fenway Park long term. All right, Alex Cora has, we talk about AJ Hinch, but he played with Alex Cora for Alex Cora as well. There is that connection as well. Walker Buehler, they both own a freaking horse. He's got some buddies on the team. I think Cora, would love to have a guy like Bregman just because, in a way, he almost gives, I don't want to say this because I never want to compare directly to Dustin Pedroia, but Bregman kind of gives me slight Pedroia vibes, right? No one will ever be Dustin Pedroia. Don't come at me. Don't try to twist that on me. Dustin Pedroia is an absolute legend. But Bregman sort of kind of gives me those vibes a little bit, right? A little bit more low-key, but a guy that when he goes onto the field, man, he's a gamer. He's going to go out there. He's going to hustle. He's going to produce for you, A guy that's a good leader in the clubhouse, brings a bit of confidence in there, right? I've seen people before when they say, when they've been in the room with Alex Bregman, your head kind of turns when he walks through the door, right? Pedroia had that energy. I would say a lot more, right? When Pedroia walked in a freaking room. I mean, I don't know. I was never there, but I can only imagine, same thing, right? You see what I'm saying there? But, with the Red Sox, I just wonder, like, kind of what's going on a little bit. We are going to talk about Arenado here in just a second. It's not going to be a long show tonight. There's not too much really to dive into, but a little something. Again, kind of getting back to this, right? Listen, you could say all you want. No, this is not true. The Red Sox aren't going to spend. I see the same exact accounts on social media in Red Sox land saying the same freaking thing all the time. And I get it, but it's like, in the end, this is different from what we heard last offseason. Last offseason stunk. I hated that offseason. Stunk. Right? This is different, man, that they are prioritizing high dollar free agents. Now, again, Bregman, if you're looking at high price free agents based off of need, Pete Alonso is probably going to go back to the Mets. He put down an offer for the Mets saying, yeah, he'll do a 3-year deal with option, right? So, really, Pete Alonso, how serious are they there? And obviously you got Casas, so you got to figure that out. Santander is still on the board. Could that be someone they're talking about? I don't know, starting pitching. I feel like they're probably not really prioritizing starting pitching. Now, bullpen, if you're looking at a guy that, is going to cost you a pretty penny, then, Tanner Scott, this is going to be a guy that's probably going to cost you some money. I would say anywhere, $15, $20 million per year. We just saw Jeff Hoffman get around, 3-year, 33. So, Tanner Scott's going to get more than that. But, that could be a guy, possibly. We'll see. But really, when you're thinking about it, really the only other option, that would be my guess. It's Alex Bregman and Tanner Scott. Jim Bowden said they were a clear front runner at one point. I still to this day don't know if that was a speculation kind of a thing, because he put in the article that Craig Breslow was a left-handed pitcher and he loves going after lefties on the market. And I don't know. It was just weird how he wrote it. I would like to think that he actually meant that he had heard that they were a clear front runner for Tanner Scott. I don't know. But that would be my guess. Those are the two, if there's two guys you're looking at. Bregman and Scott. So there's that. Now, again, but then you tie in the Nolan Arenado stuff. You turn around and you go look at that. I've been saying this now. Like, every day I go back and forth. I had someone ask me on Twitter, I'm going so blank on the name and I apologize. But someone asked me, Robbie, who do you think they end up getting? Is it Bregman or Arenado? I mean, well, first off, I have no freaking clue. I mean, I would love to sit there in the front office and hear all the stuff going on and whatever. I would love to be a fly on the wall. I don't know. I feel like every day I'm going back and forth. One day it feels like it could be Bregman. The next day, like today, feels like there could be something cooking with Arenado. So I don't know, I'm not sure what to think. Again, I keep going back to the fact, anytime Arenado gets brought up, I'm thinking to myself, is this leverage? Is this, are they putting is stuff getting put out there for leverage? Are they trying to really get Bregman to budge? You know what I mean? Or just come down. Again, it's hard when you don't know if there's an offer. It's hard when you don't know what the deal is. So I'm not sure. Now, I think for the most part, what you can say, I think what we can all agree on, is it feels like, based off reports, again, these are just reports. These are things that reporters, they get fed this information. So who knows what's in the end, who knows what's actually fully going on. But in my opinion, what at least we all know that I think we can agree on is the Red Sox have some options here. They need to add a right-handed bat. They need to add a righty. They need to. No, Randall Grichuk is not the answer. If you want to add Grichuk on top of someone, I'm okay with that. But you need a right-handed bat for the lineup. You need to replace Tyler O'Neill. Okay? You are going to be getting Trevor Story back for a full season. There's your other right-handed bat. I hate to break it to people, but they're not. I don't think they're going to be getting two right-handed bats. Who knows? Maybe they freaking do something crazy like that. I don't know. At this point, I'd like to just see one thing, right? What it sounds like to me is the Red Sox have options, and I think they're just waiting to see what ends up happening first. Who blinks first? Is Bregman going to come down? Because really, at this point, is Bregman going to take? Because again, getting back to Bregman's market, I know I beat on this like it's a dead horse, right? But really, what is his market? Really, you think about it. The Mariners, they're not paying money. The Mets, they want Alonso. The Cubs, probably not the Cubs. I don't know. We got the report early on in the offseason that the Cubs were being a headache for all the agents out there. So I don't know. Are the Cubs going to do anything? They probably want to try and sign Kyle Tucker to an extension. So I don't know if are they going to want to bring in Bregman? The Nationals, could they be some random team that just pops up out of nowhere, like the Diamondbacks did for Corbin Burns and Jordan Montgomery last offseason? No, probably not, because the Nationals aren't really spending anything, and they got Brady House at third base long term. The Diamondbacks, probably not. They spent their money on Corbin Burns, unless they go out and make another move, but they got Eugenio Suarez at third. So there's not really I don't think the Yankees are looking at cheap options out there. They're now tied to Jorge Polanco. They've been tied with Luis Ariz, second base. Jazz moves over to third. So I don't think the Yankees. So really, if you're the Red Sox, I think they're just playing, they're playing who blinks first. That's what it seems like to me. Because there's not really much else. I think the Red Sox see that. I think they're, I don't know. I don't know what's going on, man. I wish I could. That's my thought. I think they're just waiting for Bregman to try to come to their terms a little bit. Do we see Bregman maybe perhaps do something? Maybe the Red Sox are trying to force Bregman to a high AAV, short term kind of a deal, right? Like Pete Alonso's kind of gunning for with the Mets. Maybe they're trying to get that. Instead of maybe the Tigers have a 5-year deal on the table. Bregman probably doesn't want to accept it. Again, I don't know. I'm guessing. We're having fun. That's my thinking. Tigers got an offer on the table. He doesn't want to take it. He feels like it's not worth it to go to a ballpark that doesn't really fit him. Let's say it's a 5-year deal they have on the table. He probably sees that thinking, I don't want a 5-year deal. And if I'm not going to go to Comerica Park for 5 years unless they pay me good money. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of the way I see it. And he looks at the Red Sox and he sees a good situation, good ballpark, farm system starting to come around. They got some talent on the roster. He's got some buddies on the roster. Seems like a good situation. The team that drafted him the first time he got drafted, the Red Sox drafted him. He went to LSU. But I think he sees the Red Sox, and I think the Red Sox are, again, it's probably not, in my opinion, I don't think it's about the money. I think it's probably about the years. I think the Red Sox would like to be able to do like some kind of a shorter term deal with an opt-out. That's my guess. I'm probably wrong. I'm wrong a lot. But really, because the Red Sox, like, they can't beat a 5-year deal. So if they don't want to beat a 5-year deal, then they're probably just trying to do the short deal. And then, because, if you look at it from someone like, Matt Chapman's point of view, that worked out for him. He took the 3-year deal with the opt-out with the Giants, ended up getting a nice extension out of it. Maybe the Red Sox feel like, you know what, we don't want to get into something unless they want to see. Maybe that's what they want. They want to just see how it goes. Give him an opt-out after the year. That's what I wonder is going on. But then, getting back to the leverage part, this is where it got a little weird, right? You started seeing, we've been seeing stuff from Cardinals Live. You can say what you want about Cardinals Live, whatever. Oh, fake, this guy has no sources. Listen, this guy's been hitting on stuff. Chris Cotillo gave him credit. Foul Territory gave him credit. Whatever. You can sit there and not believe it if you want. I get it. We've been spurned before. But in the end, I feel like he's got a couple of people he talks to. Sometimes all you need is one guy, right? So he put, I feel I'd have to do a bit more. I'm sorry. I should have gone further back a little bit before. He was talking a lot about the arbitration stuff. I got to talk about that tonight too. The Jaron Duran arbitration. Again, we're not going to be here too long tonight. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to dig too much, but let's go to this one, right? He put this one last night. This was about Triston Casas. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Now, pulling this up. This was last night at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Casas and Boston's relationship seems off. I've heard multiple people close to the organization say several things that, while not necessarily negative, felt there was an underlying issue. I've also been told Heim and Casas had a good relationship, as he did with most young players within that organization while he was there. Also told there was some coddling and a longer than usual leash. Person I spoke to said Heim kind of encouraged the behavior and environment, and it's never been able to be corrected. This was someone's opinion. If true, it's interesting. He goes on to kind of really just say, not much else, but if he says if there's accuracy, I could see how these rumors would have legs. However, being some of it can't be verified, I'm unsure, and first base isn't an obvious need for St. Louis. Now, again, if we're looking at, let me pull up more Casas stuff. So we're going to get to this in a second. He also put this. He retweeted himself. This person knows the player, connected to the organization, and has provided proof of who he is to share this with me. So I take the underlying of what he says as accurate. The unverified part is the Casas rumors to Cardinals in this Arenado discussion or any involvement with Yoshida. The unverified part is the Casas rumors to the Cardinals in this Arenado discussion or any involvement with Yoshida. Have not heard anything specifically related to this picture. Arenado, Casas rumors and talks have always been connected and unconnected. I don't know. Sometimes the grammar gets a little off, so I get a little confused. There would have to be another Cardinal involved, and it's easy to assume Helsley, but I'd be willing to suggest others based on how this day went. So he was also talking about, so that was another thing that Cardinals people were speculating about because they got his arbitration figure like nailed pretty quick, right? But then all of a sudden, Brendan Donovan and Lars Nootbaar who are further away from free agency, they didn't get those guys done. So people were speculating, wow, they got Helsley done pretty quick. Could that mean something? Right? Honestly, this might sound ridiculous, but I almost kind of wonder about that. Like, I think the Duran stuff, I think that was a little reactionary. I think in the end, arbitration, it's its own system. I think anything money-wise right now with the Red Sox, it's like they're just going to get attacked. You know what I mean? It's like this stuff happens in arbitration all the time. It happens all the time. I think personally they should have just gotten it done, but whatever. It's not the only time this has happened. You've had some of the pro players come out, like Lou Merlone, Jonathan Papelbon. They've said it's really not that big of a deal. It just happens all the time, right? You might be thinking, it's $500,000. What's the big deal? There's kind of more to it, right? Because you got to remember the salary builds and, again, yeah, they might be coming off as cheap, but in the end, I kind of wondered, I was thinking like, man, makes me wonder because we're seeing all this like stuff being thrown out there. Helsley got done pretty quick. Because remember, yesterday was the deadline to exchange figures, not the deadline to get a deal done. They could still get a deal done, right? That was the deadline to swap numbers, all right? A deal can get done at any time. So I kind of started thinking to myself, I don't know, could this be like maybe they're focused on some other things right now and then they just figure out Duran in a little bit? I don't know. Part of me was wondering if that could be something. But then you could also say, too, well, if it wasn't that big of a deal, why didn't you just get it done? Well, again, they all have their own projection systems. In the end, it is what it is. That's all I can say on that. But then Cardinals Live did go a little further here today. Put out a bit of a speculative tweet. It was kind of a cryptic tweet. So, ... Ivan Herrera ... Well, where there's smoke ... So, you all know me. I love myself some baseball trade values. I love looking at the values when it comes to trades. So, I saw that and I immediately started thinking, okay, Ivan Herrera has a lot of value. Kind of like Casas, right? Casas has a lot of value. So I started thinking to myself, and then he was bringing up Casas yesterday. And I'm thinking, that's interesting. Why is Casas being brought up? And now the next day, Herrera is being brought up. Arenado's been connected with the Red Sox this entire time. Well, the Cardinals are looking to cut payroll. Maybe the Red Sox, they want them to pay a good amount of his contract, maybe more than the Astros wanted. That was reportedly $15 million over the next 3 years. Maybe the Red Sox are requesting more, which would make a lot of sense if you're going to be, if you're looking at it from the Cardinals' point of view. I would think someone like Casas is really the kind of player that they're looking for, because the Cardinals, they still want to compete, but they also want to go into a bit of a new window at the same time. So for the Cardinals, I'm looking at the way their organization is. You still have a lot of talent at the major league level, but maybe you're not at the place where you want to be, and they're not, because Chaim Bloom is going to be the president of baseball operations next offseason. So they're kind of going through a bit of a transition right now. They're trying to clear payroll. They're trying to give a fresh start to Chaim Bloom. So they look at someone like Casas, in my opinion. They say, okay, he's a guy that's, proven in the major leagues. He's got a lot of control left. That's the kind of guy you're looking for timeline-wise. Because I would think for right now for the Cardinals, they're not going through a strict, full-blown rebuild. They're going through a bit of a retool. So they're looking to clear money. They're looking to bring in cost-controlled guys. That makes sense to me timeline-wise for them to look at someone like Casas and be like, that sounds pretty good. The way you could make that work, if you were to bring in someone like Casas, and I did a video on this. If you want a quicker version, then just go watch the video that I posted a little bit earlier. But you could put Casas at first base, and then Ivan Herrera, if you did that, if you put him in a deal, let's look at what a pretty small deal would look like. If you did Arenado with no cash, which would be amazing for the Cardinals, The Red Sox can then pivot at that point and say, listen, if you're not going to eat, if you don't want to eat any money, then you need to give us a player that is going to be of good trade value, but also of value to us. And for the Cardinals, they have a lot of catching right now. You got Wilson Contreras, who they signed as a catcher. He is now projected to be the first baseman DH. They said that was going to be his full-time gig in 2025. But I guess, if anything, if you moved one of your catchers, Contreras could just go back to that position if you really wanted to do that. You got Pedro Pages there. You got Ivan Herrera. You got 3 catchers on that roster. 2.5, I guess. Wilson Contreras, he's a maybe, right? But you also got Crooks down in the minor leagues. Their number 5 prospect, a catcher that is moving pretty quick. Now, I have talked to a guy out there. He tells me he sees Crooks as, more of a backup, more of like a guy where he projects, in his opinion, more as a backup catcher. Now, if we're to go to the top prospects for the Cardinals right now, Jimmy Crooks. I love that name. What a great name. Jimmy Crooks. This is a guy that's been doing pretty well. He's got a good hit tool. He's pretty good in the field, too. Has a good arm. But again, the guy that I was talking to, wonders, because, and I'm actually looking at the Baseball America scouting report right now. He thinks he's going to be more of a backup option. Now, if you go to the hit tool, he shows average underlying exit velocity data. While his raw power is just average, his ability to consistently backspin the ball leads to a high rate of line drives and fly balls. So I do wonder if maybe kind of that's where he's getting at when it comes to kind of just the average exit velocity, how that play at the major leagues. Maybe that could work in the minor leagues. But if you get to the major leagues, obviously, with that pitching, who knows if you can pull that off. But a guy behind the plate, he's an above-average framer with metrics that support his above-average strike-stealing skills. Receiving is strong. Does good with the base runners. So a guy, again, I can see where that backup catcher sort of feeling comes from with him. But still, even if it's your backup guy, you got someone like Pages who, showed some pretty good things. Not really a whole lot of offense with him last year, but a guy that was pretty good defensively. So I'm not sure where the Cardinals go. But in the end, they do have catching. All right. So where they're going through a bit of a reset, maybe you can move Herrera. You got a couple of guys that can play catcher, and you can bring in someone like Casas. That's a middle of the order bat for you down the road. Wilson Contreras, or again, you could put Contreras back at catcher. Whatever it may be, you could move Contreras to DH. Burleson can go back out to the outfield. Casas is your first baseman. You could DH him some days too. So there's a way for Casas to fit here, right? It's not like just some weird fit, right? Victor Scott out in center field hasn't really shown all that much at the major league level yet. Still very young. There's still a good amount of ceiling with him, but he did not look very good at the major league level. But Lars Newbar can play center field. So there's that. But again, getting back to Nolan Arenado, this is where, again, he's the main piece here. At least the main name, right? If you were able to get Herrera in this kind of a deal, then the Red Sox, if you're looking at it from their point of view, right now, Connor Wong is your starting catcher. Very inconsistent defensively this past year. Did some good things with the bat, but I do think you're going to see some regression with that bat. He had a very high batting average on balls in play this past year. When that number is very high, that suggests you're getting a bit too lucky and balls are just falling into play. The more adjustments that pitchers make against him, you're probably going to see that start to come down a little bit. Usually very high BABIPs tend to regress. So Wong, I would not be surprised if the Red Sox are just trying to get ahead of it right now by bringing in someone like Herrera who has upside with the bat. Now, if we were to take a look at the scouting report with Herrera, I put out a tweet a little earlier, and I almost kind of wanted to take back how I said it a little bit. I should have worded it a little bit better, but when it came to, let me go back here, 2023, I believe, was the last scouting report. So he was the number 8 prospect back in 2023 for them. And so here's the scouting report. A stout, stocky player with plenty of physical strength. Herrera has limited athleticism and twitch. Despite his stiff physical nature, his game is predicted on his above-average contact skills and on-base ability. Now, I love the Red Sox, love that. The Red Sox, they have talked about this publicly. They like guys with good hit tools, guys that are good when it comes to the plate discipline, and the power can come along. I can see them liking that. Herrera deploys a level swing that leads to a lot of grounders. He runs high contact rates and rarely expands the zone. So that's, good thing there. And remember, ground balls, they tend to be a bit better because they tend to go more for hits than fly balls do. While his exit velocity data is fringy, Herrera showed improvements to his 90th percentile exit velocity, hinting at average raw power. In games, his average power rarely flashes and projects to hit 10 to 14 homers over a full season. Now, I believe there was an updated one. Let me go to the updated one. Here's the updated one. I was about to say, that one doesn't look right. So, again, they mentioned the above-average contact skills, the patient approach, doesn't really expand the zone, has a history of producing elite walk rates. That's what the Red Sox like. They like tough at-bats. He rarely expands the zone, consistently makes contact, above-average raw power, has fully yet to tap into it in games. Herrera makes a high rate of opposite field contact, and a majority of his best hit balls come in the form of line drives or hard-hit ground balls. Herrera hits left-handers well. That was another thing that stuck out to me. The Red Sox are looking for guys that can hit left-handed pitching. Well, there you go. Hits left-handers very well. No platoon split issues. I think the Red Sox, they look at that and they're like, ooh, okay, we got a good bat here. Now, when it comes to the defense with Herrera, that's where it gets a little murky, right? He does fine for the most part when it comes to the receiving, but when it comes to the throwing, that needs to be improved, right? Very inconsistent on the throws. I talked to a guy about Herrera, and he was telling me, it's almost like he gets the yips sometimes, right? Kind of just makes some errant throws at times. But in the end, it says Herrera has a balance of skills that allow him to do a little of everything well. And that's kind of where I started my tweet earlier about him, where I said he does everything well. That's kind of what I meant. Like, he's not going to be excellent at anything. The bat is definitely going to be better than his defense. But for the most part, a guy that can handle himself at the major league level. And probably has a bit more upside with the bat than Connor Wong because he has that raw power, right? Wong, not really so much, right? And again, they say for him to wrap this one up, Herrera is a low-risk catcher with above-average hitting and on-base ability. He should be in the mix for a share of catching duties with the Cardinals in 2024. So to me, when you're looking at the Red Sox from a catcher point of view, they just traded away Kyle Teal. Not a whole lot of upside at the catcher position within the organization. Sure, they signed Zavala to a minor league contract. They brought in Narvaez. But there's not a lot of upside here. Someone like Ivan Herrera, maybe they could work with him a little bit on the throwing, and they already know they got a pretty good bat with upside there. I could see the Red Sox looking at that and being like, hey, this is totally a guy that we could bring in. He also did really well this year. Over 72 games, he put up a 2.1 F-WAR. He was on track to be a 4-win player this year. Hit 301, had a 372 on base, a 428 on the slugging, a 127 WRC plus. Let's check out the splits. He was fine against lefties. He was better against righties. Hit 257 against lefties, 323 against righties. And if you look at the WRC plus, funny enough, they say he's good against lefties, but he was trying to figure that out. He had a 97 WRC plus, which is right around league average, and a 142 WRC plus against righties. So, but he has that history of hitting lefties well. So, to me, I know I'm rambling. I feel like I'm trying to get my thoughts like all on the right page here. I think you'd be a great prospect to get back. Or not a prospect, but a good young player to get back. A guy that's under control, I believe, for the next 4 more years. If we're looking at him here, I don't know where he went. So he's a free agent in 2029. So 25, 26, 27, 28. So you got him for the next 4 more years. So, and he's not even 25. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, the Cardinals, they have a surplus right now of catching. The Red Sox, they're kind of lacking at the catching a bit. This is a guy that I feel like could really plug that hole, right? That could really fill that gap a little bit and gives you, in my opinion, more upside at the major league level. I like Connor Wong, but like Connor Wong, there were a lot of inconsistencies with him last year defensively, right? I think it would make a lot of sense. All right, getting back to this trade that I had here, Nolan Arenado, without any cash, and if you throw in Herrera, you're already pretty close. Maybe throw in a little bit more cash. And you could probably get done here. I'm seeing what we got. Stephen Hayes. Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought you were talking about someone else. Never mind. Yeah. No. What do we got here? Yeah, Austin Hayes. Nah. I mean, maybe, but I don't know. That's not the guy I'm paying attention to right now. Nolan Arenado, without any cash, Ivan Herrera gets you pretty close to the value of Triston Casas. I don't think this is enough, though. I think again, if you're taking back the whole contract of Arenado, to me, I think you got to get back a little bit more, despite the good value of Ivan Herrera. Because you are giving the Cardinals a lot of salary relief here, a lot of payroll relief. That's what they're looking for. They're going through a transition here. They want to get rid of Arenado. Now, what you could do, you could get pretty crazy here. Let's say, and listen, the Red Sox, they're still going after a reliever on the market. I don't know if the Cardinals would do this. I feel like there's a chance they would want to do this separately to maximize value. But maybe you bring in someone like Ryan Helsley. If the Red Sox got Ryan Helsley, I would do cartwheels in my front lawn until dawn. That's a lot of cartwheels. Ryan Helsley I'd be so happy. I love Ryan Helsley. Could you imagine a guy that had 49 saves this past year with the velocity that he has? Helsley, Hendricks, Chapman, Slayton, maybe Whitlock steps up. Oh, what a bullpen. What a bullpen that would be. Are you kidding me? Throw him in the deal. And then, like even this in itself could, but again, I feel like the Cardinals, this is probably too much for them to give up here. For just getting back a cost-controlled first baseman with Triston Casas, even though his value, you are selling low on him. This is where I feel like the Cardinals would want a little bit more. I have an idea. I put this in my video earlier. The Cardinals want a little bit more. They're looking at the next few years, maybe 2025. They could maybe make a run, but they're looking at like 26, 27, 28. The Chaim Bloom era, right? Maybe they want a little bit more. Listen, the Red Sox, speaking of surplus, they just so happen to have a surplus right now. I know I'm upsetting Cutter is king. I'm upsetting him right now. I know. I'm sorry. But maybe Cutter Crawford could be involved in this deal. Right now, Cutter Crawford, when you look at the rotation for the Red Sox, the only reason he is here in this spot is because Giolito is still classified as being on the IL. You have a 1 through 5 with Crochet, Houck, Bayo, Giolito, and Buehler. That's your 5. Now, there has been talks of the 6-man rotation, but you could still do the 6-man with the guys that you have without Crawford. You got Cooper Criswell. You got Richard Fitz. You have guys. So, Cutter Crawford is a guy that you could use. And the Cardinals, I feel like, would love to have as a guy that's under control for the next several years. Now, if you are looking at the values here, yeah, you are now getting into some unwanted territory. You are pretty far away at this point. But maybe this is where, and again, this is where it gets hairy, because then again, if the Cardinals are giving up this much, I feel like that's going to be kind of hard to budge. But let's say the Cardinals, man, if they could, remember with the Astros, it was reported they were willing to, they were going to take $15 million $5 million per season over the next few years. This gets you pretty close. Again, I don't know if the Cardinals would do this. But if you're looking at it from the Cardinals' point of view, there is no market right now for Arenado unless he approves a trade to possibly Detroit, the Mariners. But I think Arenado at this point knows Fenway Park is the place for him, right? You got Trevor Story there. They're good buddies. That's where he wants to go, right? Will he want to go to Seattle? Will he want to go to Detroit with his bat the way it's been the last couple of years? I don't know. Probably not. So, to me, I don't think the Cardinals do this. I don't think they do. From the Red Sox point of view, though, and this is how I look at it. I know a lot of other people aren't going to look at it this way. This is how I look at it. If you disagree with me, that's fine. I look at Casas and Crawford as guys that are very good, but to me, you could maybe look at them as surplus. Why am I considering Casas as surplus? Here's why. Well, obviously, we've been hearing the talk about Rafael Devers being moved over to first base. Listen, I am fully believing that the Red Sox think Rafael Devers can be a first baseman. We keep hearing about it. It's coming from somewhere. It's not coming from nowhere. No one's pulling this out of thin air. I think they think Rafael Devers would be better off at first base. And I know people are like, oh, I don't want to see him do the splits going for a scoop. I mean, listen, I think Rafael Devers honestly would be fine at first base. Where Devers lacks is his range. First base, right there. That's where you go, right? He's got a good arm that would play well at first base for throws. I'm just saying. Eric Burns, just because someone is surplus doesn't mean you shouldn't get fair value for them. Well, if you're looking at the value here, you are getting, pretty close to fair value, right? If you're getting Arenado with his contract paid, well, most of it, well, not most of it, a good chunk of it, but then you're getting a future catcher and Ivan Herrera and one of the top relievers in baseball. I mean, that's pretty good value if you ask me. I mean, I'm just saying that's pretty good. Right? I mean, I don't know. I don't think the Cardinals, I don't even know if they would go this far. To me, the Cardinals would probably say no to this. I'll be very honest with you. I feel like you're giving up a lot here. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know, man. This would be, in my opinion, if you think that Rafi can play first base, I mean, well, there you go. And Casas, I mean, I don't know, man. That's just the way I see it. I think Arenado, I think a lot of people sleep on Arenado. I think his bat would play at Fenway Park. I think he would be a guy that hits right around 25 home runs at Fenway Park with that green monster. I think I see the same old tired shtick. I see the same thing over and over again. He's a regressing bat. He's getting old. I don't know why people think he's getting old. He's 34. That's not old. He would be fine at Fenway Park. I think he'd be great. He would be a huge upgrade defensively at third base. That's what they need. They need that. I mean, whether you like it or not, the Red Sox, they will be a better team, I personally think, if Arenado's at third base. Now, kind of circling back a little bit, I'd rather just have Alex Bregman. If you were to ask me, would I want this or Alex Bregman? I want Alex Bregman. But I'm trying to look at the best possible situation. If you are going to trade Triston Casas, if you are actually wanting to move the guy, this is what I think is the best thing. This is how I think you do it. I don't think there's anything else. I mean, could you maybe go to the Mariners? Maybe look at something like Andres Munoz? I don't know, the Pirates. Do they even want anyone at this point? Maybe like Bubba Chandler, something like that. Or Endy Rodriguez, possibly. Like one of the, if the Red Sox want some catching, you can go there. I don't know. I mean, that's just me. I think this right here, if you can get Ivan Herrera, man, that'd be so good. So good. I don't know. Maybe I'm probably wrong. I mean, what do I know? I'm just a doofus that sits at my desk. I don't know. But to me, that's what I would do. Now, if you were to rework this, I don't know. Maybe take out Crawford. We could do this. Here's the thing. You could do this in a bunch of different ways. That's the kind of the one thing I do want to touch on. There's a lot of ways you could do this, right? Maybe instead of Cutter Crawford, listen, I would like to keep Cutter Crawford. That's a pretty nice guy to have, right? Now, maybe you could do someone like David Sandlin. I'm sorry. David Sandlin follows me on Twitter. I'm not trying to do this to you, my friend. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to do that to you. But listen, you got some decent value, my friend. David Sandlin, I think you're going to be a stud. Maybe the Cardinals want you. Maybe you could do that. Triston Casas, David Sandlin, Arenado, no money, Ivan Herrera, Ryan Helsley. It gives the Cardinals salary relief. I don't know. That's just me. I don't know, man. Come on, that's got to be pretty good. If you actually saw that across your screen, I mean, come on, you can't get that mad at that. That's decent, man. You're giving up Casas. Yeah, I know that stinks. But you're not giving up Cutter Crawford. You're giving up in the end, I like David Sandlin, but hey, he's a pitching prospect, right? He's very good, though. I think David Sandlin's going to be pretty good. I don't know, man. Yeah, Sox fan for life. But then I think you're right. I don't think the Cardinals do that. But again, you got to look at it from the Cardinals' point of view. I think for the Cardinals, it's about salary relief right now. That's what I think. And also trying to maximize the return. They want both. They're trying to have their cake and eat it too. When you do that, you're not going to be able to go as far. They want to clear that salary. It's hard to work around that. If you're not going to eat any of the money, you're not going to be able to do much. I mean, again, you could just eat. If you did Nolan Arenado, Ivan Herrera, throw in some cash, maybe $9 million, $3 million per season. Nope, that's the wrong team. And then you're looking pretty good right there. I mean, I don't know. Arenado, Ivan Herrera, $3 million per year over the next 3 years for Triston Casas. I don't know, man. You're getting a guy in Arenado who I think is going to hit 25 home runs at Fenway Park, play good defense for you. You're getting some of his contract paid off a little bit. That's going to reduce the AAV per year. You're getting a guy that could be your future catcher. If there's a way to get rid of Triston Casas, if that's what you want to do, I think something like this is what you got to do. But again, there's a whole bunch of different ways to do it. I feel like I've been rambling on and on at this point. In the end, it really, again, I think the Red Sox, I get back to that point. I think they see Rafi as a first baseman. The defensive third is hurting them, right? The coaching staff, they might have seen some good things this year from Rafi, but the front office, the way they're crunching the numbers, Rafi he's been very behind when it comes to the outs above average, when it comes to the range. The defense hasn't been good. And that, if you want to improve one area of the team, Arenado would be huge in that part. And I will say this. Eric Burns, do we really need Herrera? He doesn't seem that special on either side of the ball. I would say there's more upside with the offense with him, and he is a right-handed bat. That is something else to consider. He hit left-handed pitching well in the minor leagues. It should translate to the major league level. But again, getting back to the point where there's not a lot of upside at the catcher position right now. That's kind of the way I look at it, right? You're getting a guy for the future. You're getting a guy for the present. And then Casas, in the end, yeah, very good bat. But I think they see Rafi as a first baseman. And if you really want to look at numbers, I mean, listen, I'm not trying to burst anyone's bubble here. But if you're looking at it from an F-WAR point of view, Fangraph wins above replacement. If you're looking at it from that point of view, a 2.1 on the F-WAR for Ivan Herrera. Triston Casas back in 2023, when he went off, it was at a 1.7. And that was over 132 games. Herrera did this over 72. At the end of the day, first base is a low value position. When you're looking at it from a numbers point of view, first base is replaceable. The Red Sox won a World Series with Mitch Moreland as their first baseman. It's kind of one of those things where, yeah, Casas, he could really do some damage, but the Red Sox have won 4 World Series going back to 2004 without anyone like Triston Casas. You know? You had Doug Minkiewicz brought in for defense in 2004. 2007, you had Kevin Youkilis. That was a good one, right? 2013, you know, you had Napoli. Napoli was good. I like Napoli, right? You had Mitch Moreland in 2018. The series without anyone like Triston Casas at the end of the day. You know, yeah, sure, you've had some power with Napoli, Youkilis, obviously, but, you know, but they've also done it with barely anything at first base. Mitch Moreland was pretty decent, but I would say he's not Casas, you know? I don't know. That's just the way I look at it. I'm probably wrong. I mean, I don't know. That's just me. But I see a guy like Ivan Herrera, and I see the catcher position, which I will also point this out. The catcher position is the highest valued position in baseball. It's very scarce. It's hard to get good catching. Very hard, right? And they just traded away Kyle Teal. You don't have that guy anymore. It's the highest valued position, while first base is the lowest valued position. Not my opinion. That's just numbers. Positional adjustment, right? Catcher is at a plus 12.5. I believe first base is at a negative 12.5. Something around that. Maybe negative 7.5. Can't remember. But that's the way I look at it. Again, I don't mind if anyone disagrees with me. But that's just me. But everyone, we will keep our eyes on this. We will definitely pay attention to this. And who knows, you know? Who knows if anything even happens here? Again, it could just be, you know, oh, you know what also? Who was it that, you know, I'm actually leaving out. I am leaving out here where this kind of all started. I'm so sorry. I forgot to, it was this guy. It was Matt T. Matt T of Prospects Live. He was the one that brought this. I was wondering, like, what was the original? It was this one. It was yesterday at 5:00. Matt T of Prospects Live, very respected site. They have done a lot of good work over the years when it comes to scouting. He was the one that put this out there, Casas to St. Louis smoke. So that's where it came from. Sorry, I've completely forgot about him. Completely forgot. But that was where it all started. So we'll see, everybody. We'll see. But in the end, you know, getting back here to Mr. Chris Cotillo, I mean, listen, I think the Red Sox, they're going to make a move. I think they do something. Where is that tweet? Again, getting back to this, they've told high dollar free agents they've told free agents that they're prioritizing bigger money pursuits. So definitely a different wording than last year. So I think in the end, no matter what happens, I think the Red Sox are going to make a move. Whether that's Alex Bregman, whether that's Nolan Arenado, something. A reliever. We'll see. But everyone, that's all I got for tonight. I'm going to wrap it up there. I went longer than I wanted. I was only hoping to go 30 minutes. And you know me, my potato brain, I can't figure out when to stop talking sometimes. And it is what it is. But I'm out of here, everyone. If you came on the way out, hit that like button for me. The goal for tonight was 100 likes. If you could hit that for me on the way out, that could definitely help us get to 100. And everyone, subscribe if you're new. We are trying to get to 3K by opening day. We're within 400 subscribers. Help us out. Help us get there. But everyone, I do appreciate your opinions in the chat. I know some of you disagreed with me. Again, I'm okay with the disagreements. I don't think you're wrong. I don't think I'm right. I don't think I'm wrong. Whatever. I'm always up for conversation. Remember, I'm always up for disagreements. That's okay. We need disagreements to have conversation. That's how this works. But in the end, I think we can all agree. We just want this team to be good. I think they will. I think this team will end up whatever shape it takes. I think they're going to have a good team on the field. I do believe that. I do believe. At least I hope. I hope so. We'll see. Have yourself a good night, everybody. I'm wrapping it up there. And I'll probably go live here Sunday night. I don't think tomorrow anything's going to happen. So I don't like to go live on Saturdays. So we'll see. If anything does happen, though, I will be here. But Sunday night, look out for that. But everyone, go have yourself a good rest of your night. And I'll talk to you next time.